Imagine the thrill of studying abroad. For Amanda Knox, a bright-eyed 20-year-old from Seattle, Perugia, Italy, was the start of a grand adventure. In the fall of 2007, she arrived in the ancient, sun-drenched city, ready to immerse herself in a new culture, learn a new language, and chase a future filled with promise. She found a flatmate in Meredith Kircher, a British student, and a new boyfriend, Raffaele Solicito. Life was a dream, but on the morning of November 2nd, 2007, that dream shattered into a waking nightmare. A locked bedroom door, a broken window, and a growing sense of dread led to a horrific discovery. Inside her room, Meredith Kircher lay dead, the victim of a brutal murder. The picturesque cottage was now a gruesome crime scene. As Italian police descended, their investigation quickly zeroed in on the people closest to Meredith. Attention soon focused on Amanda and her Italian boyfriend, Raffaele. In the face of unimaginable trauma, their behavior was scrutinized. A kiss outside the crime scene, a cartwheel at the police station, actions that could be interpreted as shock or youthful naivete were instead seen by authorities as the cold, detached behavior of killers. Subjected to grueling overnight interrogations without a lawyer or a reliable interpreter, Amanda's story began to fracture under the pressure. The press, smelling blood in the water, pounced. They unearthed an old nickname from her social media, Foxy Knoxy. It was the perfect hook for a sensationalist narrative. A story was born not of a terrified young student, but of a manipulative, hypersexualized femme fatale. The world media descended, transforming a personal tragedy into a global spectacle. Before a single piece of evidence was presented in court, Amanda Knox was being tried and convicted in the court of public opinion. In 2009, based on contested DNA evidence found on a kitchen knife and a bra clasp, Amanda Knox and Raffaele Solicito were convicted of murder and sentenced to over 2 decades in prison. But as the initial shock wore off, serious doubts began to surface. Questions about the integrity of the crime scene and the handling of evidence grew louder. In 2011, an appeal court agreed. Independent experts declared the DNA evidence unreliable, likely contaminated. Amanda and Raffaele were dramatically acquitted, and she flew home to America. But the ordeal was far from over. In a stunning legal reversal, Italy's highest court nullified the acquittal, citing flaws in the appeal, and ordered a new trial. In 2014, Amanda was convicted again, this time in absentia. Finally, in 2015, the saga reached its conclusion. Italy's Supreme Court definitively exonerated both Knox and Solicito, citing stunning flaws in the investigation and a complete lack of evidence connecting them to the crime. After 8 years trapped in a legal labyrinth, Amanda Knox was finally free. She returned to the US to rebuild a life forever scarred by the ordeal. But the question that lingers is as unsettling as the crime itself. Was she a diabolical killer, or the innocent victim of a flawed investigation and a ravenous media? Investigators processed the scene. Every shadow, every footprint mattered. But evidence handling and lab work later drew intense scrutiny. Police narratives can shape a case, and public opinion. International media descended, hungry for drama and certainty. Before a judge spoke, many had already judged her. Forensic reports later revealed inconsistencies that would matter in court. Defense teams began to expose flaws in the investigation. Narrative, not always evidence, can decide a reputation. A small-town case became a global story. Behind headlines were 2 young lives forever altered, and a family in grief. As the legal battle wound on, inconsistencies only multiplied. Memory, rumor, and myth began to overshadow facts. What role should the press play when justice is at stake? In December 2009, after months of relentless media coverage, a verdict was handed down in a packed courtroom. Amanda Knox was found guilty and sentenced to a staggering 26 years in prison. Raffaele Solicito received 25 years. The conviction sent shockwaves through international legal circles. To many observers, the prosecution's case seemed built on a foundation of questionable character assessments and contested evidence, with no clear motive ever established. The severity of the sentence, for a crime they steadfastly denied, was a brutal conclusion to the first chapter of their ordeal. Amanda's defence immediately appealed, targeting what they argued were catastrophic procedural errors and unreliable forensic claims. The appeal's success hinged on an independent review of the key DNA evidence. This new analysis delivered a bombshell. The trace DNA on the alleged murder weapon was deemed inconclusive, and the DNA on Meredith's bra clasp, discovered 47 days after the crime, was ruled to have been hopelessly contaminated. Based on this, in October 2011, an appellate court acquitted Amanda and Raphael. After 4 years in prison, they walked free, a moment of overwhelming relief broadcast around the world. But the prosecution appealed to Italy's highest court, the Court of Cassation. In a shocking turn in March 2013, the court annulled the acquittal, criticising the appellate judges for illogical reasoning and ordering a completely new trial. The legal whiplash was dizzying. Amanda, now back home in Seattle, would be tried in absentia. The saga resumed its grip on the headlines, and in 2014 a court in Florence delivered another reversal, reinstating the guilty verdicts. The pendulum had swung back, and they were once again convicted murderers in the eyes of the Italian court. This led to one final decisive hearing before the Court of Cassation in 2015. The tension was immense. This was the end of the legal road. The court didn't just acquit them, it annulled the convictions definitively, citing stunning flaws and a complete lack of biological traces connecting them to the crime. The final ruling was a scathing indictment of the entire investigation. The record remains a complex tapestry of mixed findings, procedural lapses, and the immense power of narrative. The case serves as a profound and chilling warning. In the court of public opinion, fueled by relentless media speculation, narratives can become so powerful they eclipse nuance, evidence, and the very pursuit of justice. After her final acquittal, Amanda Knox stepped out of a prison cell and into a gilded cage of infamy. She sought to reclaim a life irrevocably altered by years of suspicion. She wrote a memoir not just to tell her story, but to wrestle control of a narrative twisted into a monstrous caricature. She became an advocate for the wrongfully convicted, lending her voice to others lost in the justice system. But a name once stained by global headlines is nearly impossible to scrub clean from public memory. The spectre of Foxy Knoxy, a phantom created by a sensationalist press, continues to haunt her, a reminder of how a story can become more real than the person at its center. So we ask again, did justice truly prevail, or did the story outpace the facts? The case became a flashpoint, a stark illustration of how reputation and reality can violently diverge under the media's unblinking eye. It exposed the dangerous allure of confirmation bias, where investigators and the public alike see only what fits a pre-written script. We must also remember Raffaele Solecito, another life derailed by the same narrative. And most importantly, we must remember the Kircher family, for whom the acquittals brought not closure, but a permanent, aching void. For them, justice for their daughter remains an unanswered question. This case serves as a sobering mandate. We must demand unwavering rigor from our investigators, insisting they follow evidence, not intuition, and resist the temptation of a simple narrative. We must also demand profound restraint from our storytellers, the journalists, the documentarians, the armchair detectives. The responsibility is to report, not to sensationalize, to inform, not to indict. Because at the heart of these headlines are people, fallible, vulnerable, and forever changed. Their lives are not plot points in a mystery. They are real, and the consequences are permanent. Some mysteries never fully resolve. They linger in the margins of our institutions, a testament to the fallibility of human systems. If this story gripped you, subscribe for more mysteries that make you wonder. Because in an age of information overload, the greatest question is not always who did it, but how we distinguish the truth from the noise.